The biggest question I get when we're working is, how do you apply? They understand what they mean, and you can say those words and they can define them and explain them. And the question people always have is, how do I apply this? And the stories of those three platoons, and then when you kind of basically you review extreme ownership and dichotomy, briefly, but you kind of just go through the review and where they came from, is really what sets the stage for where these fit and how to look for where they fit. I mean, even that story about the platoon commander of whether or not you should have made the call. I mean, there's the seeds of balance in there too. Is, hey, same situation, previous platoon. Actually, that platoon commander did the exact same thing, but for a totally different reason. Oh, my people are all different, and the way I treat this one guy and relate to this one guy doesn't work in every situation. And when you talk about that too, is when you look at other people's plans, because ego is always the biggest issue with every client we work with. It's always ego is at the top. And the question that you ask, how important is this plan to that other person? Because if that other person has to do this plan, the worst thing you can do is fight them on the plan, no matter whatever the quality of the plan is. And even having the humility of saying, hey, in this situation, it isn't even about what is the best plan. It's what's the best way to implement the plan. Because if I prove that I'm right and my plan is better, and this guy has to admit to me and acquiesce to me, okay, your plan is better, what is the likelihood that guy's going to be totally on board with supporting my plan? It's not going to happen.
What is the likelihood that person's looking for you to fall on your face? Totally. What's the likelihood they help you fall on your face?
Yeah, that they, even by kind of like you said in that second platoon, maybe not sabotage, but by just doing nothing. Mm-hmm. When actually what you need them is to do the exact opposite of that, which is totally be in the game. So even as you read those reviews, those first three to set the stage, and even the review of EO and dichotomy, I don't care how many times you've read those books, read it in this context, because it changes in your mind how they apply to the world that you care about, which is your world, which doesn't have to be the SEAL teams. It's not what this is about. That's just the backdrop. It's actually where it fits in whatever world that you're in.
Not to mention the future, by the way. Like, how if you have a better plan, they have a good plan, you have a level 10. Mm-hmm. This guy's a level 9. And he's like, no, this plan's good. And you're like, no, mine's so much better than yours. And boom, force them to do it, right?
Yeah.
And not only during that plan, they might not do their best, but in the future, you're like the guy who's like, oh, you just think your plan is better. Yeah. So even in the future, he might not have your back as much.
Yeah. Why are you even going to put forth that effort, Echo? Mm-hmm. If when you brought me a plan that was a level 9.
Yeah, good plan.
A good plan. And I was like, no, mine's a level 10. We're not using your plan. How much effort are you going to put in next time to come up with a good plan?
Yep.
I mean,
we'll just say potentially less. I'll tell you that.
And I mean, you want to talk about this is real world application? I mean, this is you and I work together. Mm-hmm. You come up with plans for things.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. And unless the plan is egregious, I'm sitting back over here going, okay, that's the way you want to set the stuff up. Cool. Like, okay, sounds good. You want to show up at 9:59? For a 10 o'clock, scenario.
Right.
But even with that, if it's you and me, I go, hey, 10 o'clock, 9:59, all good. If it's you, me, and let's say we're having a guest on, and I'll be, hey, man, guest. And I know you know what that means. That means, like, hey, that means you're not letting me down. It means we're looking bad.
Right,
we don't look bad, Mm-hmm. So all good.
Yep.
But I'm not saying, hey, there's a guest, you better be here by 9:30 all set up. I just tell you what's up. Yep. And you know what to do.
Yep. It's true.
Communication.
Yes.
Understanding the intent.
Yep.
Dave Burke maybe doesn't fully qualify as a full guest anymore in your mind.
He's like a hybrid, guest friend.
He was not quite enough to get here at 9:30, but a solid 9:50.
Well, let's face it, I was here at 9:59, but you do. The point remains, yes, 100%.
Yeah, check. I mean, this is and same with like at Echelon Front. We're doing all kinds of things at Echelon Front, all kinds of things. I actually talked about this in the muster in Australia. It's really the most I've talked, really, I mean, not a ton, but several times I used in as example that at, the Echelon Front muster, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things happening. There's video, audio, visual stuff happening. There's kits being made to hand out to people. There's PT going on. There's so much. There's registration happening. There's check-in. There's handout of stuff. There's organizing of table. There's all this. There's just huge logistical things that are happening. How much do I know of what's going on? Next to none. Next to none. And Jamie, who runs the muster, like she knows what the intent is. And if she feels like there's a little, where I'm not 100% on this one, I'm not sure. She'll be like, hey, Jocko, should we do this or this? And I'll be like, well, what do you think? And she says, well, I think it'd be smoothest like this. Cool. Makes sense. But as far as me actually directing anything, it's very, very seldom am I saying, no, we need to do it this way. Occasionally we will. Occasionally I will. Occasionally I'll say, yeah, nope, that's not a good plan. And we're not going to do it that way. And as you see, when I say that, people go, cool. Yeah. Very seldom does someone want to get in debate with me about something that I'm firm on. I'm firm so seldom.
It's because you hardly ever do it.
Yeah. I'm firm so seldom that when I am, people go, there's something that we're not seeing here.
Right.